Miami at North Carolina. Looking forward to being on the call for this one. This will be 7:30 Eastern time on ABC. Everyone's talking about Miami and their miscues at the end of the game last week. All right. I'm turning on podcasts, listening to college football coverage. All anyone's talking about is the end of game. That's it. No one's talking about the fact that Miami has been pretty good running the football. Nobody's talking about the fact that prior to last week, Tyler Van Dyke looks really, really comfortable. Nobody's talking about the fact that when Miami played against Texas A&M a couple weeks ago, their defense hit Connor Wigman, the starting quarterback for A&M, about 1,000 times. Like, nobody's talking about all the good things that Miami has done up to this point to put themselves into position to play in a ranked game in the middle of October. I understand that we need to focus and we need to tell the story, and everyone's punching at Mario Cristobal. Everyone's punching at the game clock decision-making process at the end, but people are ignoring just how much progress Miami has made. Overall, let's talk about their offense just for a moment. This is a really talented group at pretty much every position. Tyler Van Dyke looks really comfortable in Shannon Dawson's offense. Now, I think he does occasionally force the football, and that came back to bite him. Last week, 3 interceptions in the game against Georgia Tech, and that ultimately was the difference in the battle. They also have really talented running backs that can make you miss. A couple of guys that have speed, versatility, Henry Parrish, Don Chaney. These guys are legit, really, really solid backs. And they have a really diverse group of wide receivers. You have tremendous length with Colby Young. You have great speed with Jacoby George. And then you have that reliability and dependability of Xavier Restrepo, who does an awful lot for you in a lot of different ways. Can play outside and inside. He's kind of all over the place. So you have 3 legit dudes on the wide receiver core for the Miami Hurricanes. And I think the offensive line's drastically improved from what they were a year ago. Another group that I also think is remarkably improved is North Carolina's defense. They are so much better than they were last year as far as creating disruption. I think they actually have difference makers along the front defensively. Gene Chizik has been much more aggressive with how he calls the game. They have been able to create a lot of pressure. If you look at just how they played against South Carolina, they had 9 sacks in the game. Granted, that was forever ago, and they haven't been quite as good since. But this is a group that can get after you and really affect the opposing quarterback if they find a good feel for what you're doing in protection. And I would imagine that UNC will have a good plan going into this game. On North Carolina's offense, we all know who they are. I mean, it's pretty clear. It's Drake May, man. He does it all himself. Doesn't have to, but he does. And I think so much of his game is dependent on him finding creases in the run game. He's so athletic. And granted, he's going to hit throws down the field. I looked up a stat in my preparation for this game. He is 4 of 5 on throws that travel 40 yards or more downfield. Like, no one else in college football is close as far as that level of efficiency on throws that travel that far downfield. He's unbelievable on the downfield throws. He has great touch. He has great accuracy. And I think he has an outstanding receiving core. Nate McCollum, his slot receiver, is getting better and better and better every single week. So much has been made of the Tez Walker situation. He's back. Didn't look very comfortable last week against Syracuse, but he's thrust into the lineup. That's a difficult spot. He's got some length, and I think he can win those contested one-on-one balls if he has those opportunities. And then you look, too, at Bryson Nesbitt, who's their tight end. He's got great length there, and they use him an awful lot in the red zone. So this North Carolina offense, while they haven't been able to run the ball as much as I had hoped they'd be able to run the ball, I do think their perimeter skill has not been as much of a drop-off as I anticipated coming into the season. The offensive line is one question mark for me because they're going against a Miami defensive front that is really athletic. They're really athletic and they're really aggressive, man. They'll bring corner blitzes. They'll bring overloads. They have defensive linemen that will start here and then end up here on the snap. I mean, they do a lot. On the defensive side, I think Lance Guidry has done a remarkable job in creating disruption for opposing offenses and getting a lot of hits on the opposing quarterback. The secondary, I think, is a bit of a question mark. Cam Kinchins is back. He's obviously an All-American contender, but it will be worth watching whether or not this North Carolina offensive line can block this Miami defensive front because of all the pressures that they're going to bring. And if they start to heat up Drake May, they did Pitt, for the most part, did a pretty good job hitting Drake May. If they hit him, how much of an effect will that have on North Carolina's offense? It should be an amazing game. I, of course, am calling it, so I will not give a pick, but I know that that game is going to come down to the wire on Saturday night.